What is psychosis and what can cause this? So psychosis in short is a break from reality. When you hear somebody say that they're hearing voices, they're hallucinating, or they're seeing things that are not there, or they have these fixed false beliefs, which we call delusions. All of that falls within the realm of psychosis. And psychosis is a symptom that you can see in conditions such as schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or bipolar disorder. And you can even see psychosis in depression as well. So you can see psychosis along the spectrum of many different mental health conditions. And what causes this? So people have to understand that, take schizophrenia for example, 1% of the population here in the United States. Now, if you're Mickey Ficky in England, I don't know what the stats look like, but at least right here in the United States, 1% of the population has schizophrenia. So if you have schizophrenia, there's a good chance that you may experience psychosis from time to time. But one of the biggest reasons why people experience psychosis is because of substance use. And this can be drugs that you are prescribed, like steroids that you're prescribed, by your doctor. It can cause psychosis sometimes. These things happen. Let your doctor know, handle it, boom, you're good, move forward. One of the biggest reasons behind psychosis that I'm seeing is substance use, primarily cannabis, THC, marijuana. And we have this argument all the time online. I get DMs from so many people and they say, Dr. Kojo, like, you must be, you're receiving money from pharmaceutical companies, or why are you telling us to like quit marijuana? Like, why should we stop smoking? I'm not telling you to stop anything. In fact, I love it myself. I'm a huge fan of it. Personally, I have to take a step back because I have to evaluate and ask myself, what is this thing bringing to me? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? What type of patterns am I establishing because of it? And for me, it helped me sleep, but it would also suppress negative emotions. I tell folks all the time, negative emotions are some of our biggest catalysts for change. So if you constantly suppress your negative emotions, you won't make a change and you'll feel like you're stuck. And I'm not telling people to stop smoking for forever. I'm not telling you to stop smoking for the rest of your life. Theoretically speaking, I didn't want to mention this, but theoretically speaking, if you start smoking around 25, 26, 27, when your brain is fully formed and you use it every now and then, will you have the same cognitive deficits that somebody will have if they start smoking at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? No. So technically you'd be better off. I'm not saying that if you start smoking at 25, 26, you can do it as much as you want. But I'm saying that the thing that I worry about is the interference with the brain development for kids who start at 15, 16. So if you start later in life and you use it sparingly, could you be okay? I could see a situation where you could be okay. But you have to understand that not everybody has the same genetics. If you are genetically predisposed to schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and or bipolar disorder, you may go into a psychotic episode because of cannabis. And also, I've seen some studies recently that have said, even if you are not genetically predisposed to schizophrenia, cannabis use, especially for those kids in those formative years, the teenage years, they're so important, especially for those kids. It could increase the risk of things like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and bipolar disorder with psychosis, but mainly schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. So I say all of this to say, you have to regulate your use of substances, whether it's alcohol, which could also cause psychosis too, cannabis, whatever it is. You have to ask yourself, this substance in this present moment, what is it bringing me? What is it taking away from me? And do I want to use this in the future or even now? I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with using a little bit of alcohol here or smoking. Theoretically, if you don't use any of it, would your health be better? Yes, I gotta say that. And at one point, we didn't know cigarettes were bad for us until we had many years of evidence. And they were like, you know what? I don't think cigarettes are good for us. I don't think this thing is healthy. I feel like we've started to do the same thing with alcohol as of late, where people are like, oh, you can get a couple of drinks here and there, and you can drink here, you can drink there. And more evidence has come out, and it's apparent now that alcohol is probably not the best thing for you. And then you get to the cannabis conversation, and folks will say, I'd rather smoke than drink. I do agree with that. I agree with it, but that's not the point. The point is everybody has different needs, and based off of what your goals are, based off of how your genetics stack up, based off of what you want to accomplish in life, how old you are. I have to stress, especially for the kids. I've had so many patients who told me that they've started smoking at 11, 12, 13. Now, when you start at that age, I'm definitely concerned. I don't know what else to say. I'm definitely concerned at that age. If you start smoking later in life after your brain is developed, I'm not that concerned. I'm not that concerned. At that point, it's like, oh, we'll educate you on the risks and benefits, and you can make the decisions that you want to make for yourself. But especially when you start very, very young and you interfere with the brain's development, that's when I think people are especially vulnerable. So it's a bit of a talk / small rant on psychosis and different substances. And my thing is, I'm not a fan of telling people what to do. And I'm not going to say go cold turkey or, and if you watch my content, I talk about the tea breaks, the tea break series. A lot of times people will do tea breaks, we're out here in California, in Los Angeles. Folks will take tea breaks and then they'll get back to it and they'll take a tea break again. And I've seen people do well with that. But just because one person did well with that doesn't mean that you may do well with that. So you have to really sit down, lock in, and ask yourself, is this thing helping me? Is this thing hurting me? Where do I want to go? Should I take this thing along with me? And this is not just for substances, it's for people, it's for friendships, relationships, for things, devices. Sometimes we have to disconnect from our phones. You got the phone, you got the iPad, you got the MacBook, you got the MacBook Pro. So many different devices that we have, and it makes it hard for us to be present and to just sit there in discomfort and to sit there in uncomfortable situations and to get better over time. So I say all that to say, evaluate your life every now and then. Do an audit. See where I'm at. Am I okay with that? The people that are in my life, do I like them? The places that I go to, do they serve me? And what you'll find is whenever you make these hard decisions, and I always say that we are always a couple of decisions, 3 or 4 decisions away from a dramatically better life. A much, much, much better life. But we have to sometimes say no to ourselves. Just do a quick audit and figure out where do we want to go and where are we at the current moment and what's the gap between that. So that's my rant on psychosis, substances, where we want to go in life, and hopefully you were able to extract something from this. If it doesn't apply to you, that's cool. But if it does, hopefully it's been something that's been helpful for you and you can share it with a friend.